Hello, everyone. Today, I'm happy to be talking to you about toxic behavior, toxicities, toxicity in teams, and how can all of that be dealt with and addressed so that you can have a thriving culture. You use common sense and you start noticing behaviors that are not necessarily those that you would like to wish for even yourself. Disrespect, gossiping, people who would stop talking when somebody else enters in the room, when conflicts are not, or discussions that should happen are not happening in the open, but in the corridors or in closed doors. When it's difficult, it seems difficult to be saying things. Those are expressions of malaise. And when there's a malaise, sooner or later, the system, the team, will start developing toxins within it as a defensive mechanism. It erodes trust. And trust is at the foundation of any team performing well. When you want to have a team that is effective, that's looking forward, that deals with the real issue at hand, there's need to be trust. There's needs to be be able to count on each other, be accountable towards each other. There's the need to also be honest with each other and call out things that needs to be addressed. When that cannot happen, then there's no trust for that. Then this is where expressions of malaise starts to appear and toxins and toxic behaviors starts to be seen. So really why it is so important to be addressing toxic behaviors is because they really are the expression of trust that has been eroded, and they erode the trust in return as well. So, and when there is no trust, there is just simply no high-performing team. It's totally connected. It's not necessarily coming from the boss. It absolutely can come from team members. In a way, it's absolutely democratically shared who is instigating the toxic behaviors. And I would say that's not the issue, the who is starting it. What's the question for me when I work with teams and I see this is surfacing, this is coming through, I'm like, why do you tolerate it? So for me, the real interesting leadership question is, it's very human that toxic behaviors happen. The real question towards the leaders and even towards the team members is, why do you accept that? Why do you tolerate that? Because when we tolerate that, that means we include it into the culture. The culture is just the expression of how we behave together and towards each other. So the moment we accept that this is a modus operandi of the team, that cynicism is part of the way we interact with each other, for example, then that becomes the culture. So you are de facto including toxicity into your culture. So the first thing is to be able to name. Gratuitous and I would say frequent criticism is not a way to operate. Contempt is not accepted, or disrespect. As well as passive-aggressive behaviors. And, you know, we can list a number of them. And I advise team when they see that in each other to say, hold on a minute, we stop it there. That's not how we want to be. And let's discuss about how we address that within our team and how do we want to be with each other and how do we want to behave towards each other when this is seen again. So it's almost like a protocol about what we want to do when it happens, because it's hard to eliminate. Those are very human behaviors. We all go there when we are frustrated around something. So that is very human. So it's not about saying this won't happen, but when it happens, how are we together? How do we say, listen, I hear your frustration, let's deal with that. One thing that I really like to think of and work with is team agreements. And within the team agreements, open a chapter of these team agreements about conflict protocols. talking about conflicts before they even happen would be the very healthy thing to do. And that would be a signal of a very mature team, actually, because you can talk about possible disagreement before they even happen. Because when you have decided that yelling, I see a lot, I mean, it can happen that people yell at each other at the office. Well, we may decide yelling is not the way. Gossiping is not the way. Passive aggressive is not the way. So if you decide a number of those things and you say that will not be tolerated, then you start saying at the same time, when we have disagreements, what's the way we want to be with each other and handle those? And you keep each other, equally accountable for making sure this happens this way. The way you want team to function is first trust. Trust is at the base of everything. And when you have trust, you can have conflicts. Once you are able to deal with conflicts within a team and maturely address them, then that creates a sense of collective commitment. And where you feel that you are responsible for more than just your part. And there's a sense of collective accountability. There's something that one day one of my mentors said that is really resonated with me in terms of culture and culture of a team. In fact, the culture is defined by the people living within a team, their behaviors. You can put sets of values on the wall, like respect, determination, and God knows. But if the behaviors are not in line with that, that's not the culture of the team. The culture of the team is the way people are with each other. And I would say the culture of the team is also the worst behavior tolerated defines the culture of the team. So if the worst behavior tolerated will be being disrespectful towards each other, it is going to be a culture of disrespect. When I work with teams and I see that they accept contempt, I tell them right away, you have created a culture of contempt. You accept that contempt is part of your culture. It takes time. For an individual to change behavior will take 6 to 9 months. It takes time. That's not done overnight. It's not something that gets resolved quickly. And I'm talking individuals ready to go there and ready to work in a different way between each other. And this is where we will have team agreements, team alignment, conflict protocol, and kind of to really be constructing mindfully, consciously, and in a very bespoken way, a way to work together and in a very articulated way. So thank you for listening to me about this topic that I'm passionate about and that I see more and more happening in my conversations with leaders these days. And if you are interested in peeling that for yourself or for your teams, just contact me on my LinkedIn or on my website, bogliolo.net, or on my LinkedIn, Bogliolo Coaching and Consulting. And I'll be happy to have a conversation with you to tell you with greater details how I approach things. And thank you very much and have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.